Hello, 1980s Sports Cards. It's Rob Lay again with another 80s baseball special box. This one is the 1982 Donruss. And there's not a ton of big hits or big potential. You can still get these boxes pretty cheap, even though they're over 40 years old. 45 years old, actually. But you do have the Cal Ripken Rookie in here, which is a 4-digit card and a PSA 10. But besides that, it drops off quite a bit. Then you got the Hall of Famers, Nolan Ryan, Pete Rose, Rickey Henderson. That can be a couple $100 cards and a PSA 10, $40, $50 and a PSA 9, and then it drops off. But because of the low gem rate, pretty much any big name in this set, even if it's not a rookie, can be a $50 to $100 card and a PSA 10. And considering grading costs are $20, $25 in shipping, there's a lot of them you could break even on, even if they came back at PSA 9. So, of course, we're going to be looking for the Ripken. But falling off from there, look for a little less picky pre-grading the Nolan Ryan, Pete Rose's, Rickey Henderson's, and then the other big name Hall of Famers. We're going to be really, really, really picky on, because we're going to be targeting only PSA 9s. As I've said before, you really can't expect PSA 10s from the 1980s cards. If you do get them, then it's like hitting the lottery. And a big deal, but just don't expect it. Go for PSA 9s. And hopefully, PSA is going to break your heart a couple times coming back with 7s, 8s, or even lower. So, all right. Hey, Mia.
No, I'm serious like that. I'm serious.
No, I'm serious. Okay, tell the fans what your favorite sports cards are.
No, I'm serious.
Why do you like hockey cards? Just be honest. Why do you like hockey cards?
I like watching hockey.
You like watching hockey. Back to the 82 Donruss. Again, just looking for the Ripkens and then going down from there. So let's get started with this great classic box. There we go. Talking about not one of the top cards we're looking for, but just a solid Hall of Famer, Ozzie Smith. And you can see how terrible centered it is. Probably one of the worst centered cards I've ever, any worse than that. And I think you're called a miscut. That's really bad. So not worth grading, especially with its value. There's a Harold Baines, pretty off-centered and very rough edge. Starting to see these cards and why 82 Donruss was so hard to get good grades. Just the centering and conditions, just terrible almost every single card. All right, there we go in the Rickey Henderson. That's a nice card, but it's not a nice card for centering. And way out of alignment too. Not good. All right, everyone, that's the card we're looking for, Cal Ripken. And actually, that's off-centered, and I see a little edge issue. But compared to a lot of the other cards we've been thumbing through so far, that's not quite as bad, but that's still a rough card. Actually, this not one of the main cards we're looking for, but the Fernando sorry, I can't pronounce it. I'm just a Midwestern American, so this is a tongue twister. But anyway, that's one of the best centered cards I've seen so far out of this set. Not perfect, but one of the better ones I've seen out of the 82 Donruss. That's another pretty card on the Robin Yount. Man, really well centered, even though not a top card. All right, there we go. On the second tier cards, George Brett, off-centered, not worth grading. All right, Nolan Ryan, another nice card we're looking for. And actually, that's really, really good centering for a 1982 Donruss. I like it. Steve Garvey, another card to put to the side, really off-centered on the bottom, but that'll be a nice raw card. Mike Schmidt, pretty well-centered card. I like it. Give that one a second look for grading, but probably not. Carlton Fist, Diamond Kings. I'll have to double check that one. I think that's like a third tier card, but I appreciate it definitely. Kirk Gibson, and kind of a pretty card. All right, so that's it. And now I see why the 82 Donruss, they're tough to gem, and the boxes are selling pretty cheap. Out of that entire box, we didn't get any Pete Roses. We got one Carlton Fist that's going to be a low grade. The Rickey Henderson's going to be a really not even worth grading. And some of these second or third tier cards, Got out of that whole stack, there may be only a couple 9s in there. I mean, that's how rough they're looking. So not a great box, but certainly a fun box. So I hope you enjoyed that.